A civil lawsuit filed against Garth Brooks yesterday in California makes multiple serious allegations against the singer.
Hush money, no matter how much or how little, is still hush money. Those were the words Garth Brooks used to describe the darkest chapter of his life, a chapter that arrived not in his 20s when he was scrambling for a record deal, but at 62, when he should have been coasting on 4 decades of sold-out stadiums. At 64 now, Garth Brooks is still the best-selling solo artist in American history, still filling arenas from Milwaukee to London, and still, according to court filings, fighting for his name in 2 separate courtrooms nearly 2,000 miles apart. The distance between the cowboy hat waving to 100,000 fans and the man named as a defendant in a sexual assault lawsuit is the story nobody expected to be telling in 2026, and it is a story that only makes sense once you go back to where it all began. Troil Garth Brooks was born on February 7, 1962, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the youngest of 6 children raised in the small town of Yukon. His mother, Colleen Carroll, had recorded for Capitol Records and appeared on television variety programs in the 1950s, and his father, Troil Raymond Brooks Jr., worked as a draftsman in the oil industry after serving in the United States Marine Corps. Music filled the house on family talent nights, but so did a rigid sense of discipline, and Brooks has said for years that his mother taught him to dream without limits while his father taught him that dreams meant nothing without work. That tension between ambition and grinding effort became the blueprint for everything that followed. He excelled at track and field in high school and earned a javelin scholarship to Oklahoma State University, where he graduated with a degree in advertising in 1984, a practical fallback his father had insisted on. But nights performing in local Stillwater clubs alongside his roommate, singer Ty England, had already planted something that a business degree could never satisfy. His first attempt at Nashville, in 1985, ended almost as fast as it began. Overwhelmed by rejection, Brooks turned around and drove back to Oklahoma after barely a day in town, a humiliation he has referenced in interviews for decades since, often joking that the round trip taught him more about the music business than any showcase ever could. He married his college girlfriend, Sandy Mahl, in May of 1986, and the couple moved to Nashville together in 1987, this time for good. Every major label passed on him at first. The break finally came at a songwriter showcase inside the legendary Bluebird Cafe in 1988, where a Capitol Records executive named Lynn Schultz happened to be in the audience, there to scout an entirely different act that never showed up that night. Brooks signed with Capitol shortly after, and his self-titled debut album arrived in April of 1989, producing the #1 single If Tomorrow Never Comes. It was his second album, however, that changed the trajectory of country music itself. No Fences spent 23 weeks at #1 in 1990 and introduced Friends in Low Places, a song that would become one of the most recognizable anthems in American music. His theatrical arena rock stage shows, complete with wireless headset microphones and pyrotechnics, turned country concerts into spectacles nobody had seen before, and the video for the Thunder Rolls was pulled from country music television for its depiction of domestic violence, a controversy that only pushed the song further up the charts. By the time the dust settled, Brooks had sold more than 150 million albums, according to Recording Industry Association of America certifications, making him the best-selling solo artist in United States history, with 2 Grammy Awards, 17 American Music Awards, and a record 7 wins for Country Music Association Entertainer of the Year. Behind the sold-out arenas, though, a much quieter story was unraveling. Sandy Mahl, whom Brooks met after she threw a punch during a bar fight in Stillwater and got her hand caught in a wooden restroom panel, had been far more than a supportive spouse. She earned songwriting credits on 2 of his early tracks, including I've Got a Good Thing Going and the later hit That Summer. The couple had 3 daughters, Taylor Maine Pearl in 1992, August Anna in 1994, and Allie Colleen in 1996, and Brooks has repeatedly called those 3 girls the single greatest accomplishment of his life. But between 1989 and 1993, he was reportedly on the road up to 300 days a year, leaving Mal to manage school drop-offs, sick nights, and an entire household largely alone. Speaking in the 2019 documentary series Garth Brooks, The Road I'm On, Mal described a husband who came home from tour feeling like a stranger, a man pulled in every direction by fans, award shows, and industry obligations. Brooks has since admitted, in his own words, that he did not fully grasp how difficult that isolation was for her until he heard her describe it on camera decades later. The couple separated in March of 2000, and Brooks filed for divorce in Davidson County, Tennessee that November, citing irreconcilable differences. When the settlement was finalized on December 17, 2001, Mal reportedly received $125 million, making it, at the time, one of the most expensive celebrity divorces ever recorded. Remarkably, the two built an alternating custody schedule that switched every single day at 7 in the morning and 6 in the evening for years, a level of structure that gave their daughters an unusually stable childhood despite the headlines surrounding their parents' split. Brooks has since said that maintaining that schedule, more than any award or certification, was the thing he was proudest of surviving during those years, and Mahl herself, who went on to co-found the wildlife rehabilitation center Wild Heart Ranch in Oklahoma, has spoken about the two of them working hard to stay on good terms for the sake of their girls. Loss did not stop with the marriage. Colleen Carroll, the mother who had first put a guitar in Garth's hands, died of cancer on August 6, 1999, a loss so profound that Brooks announced his retirement from music at a Nashville press conference 2 months later, choosing to spend his children's remaining years at home in Oklahoma rather than on a tour bus. His father, Troy Raymond Brooks Jr., died in 2010. Honoring his mother's memory turned into an unexpected legal fight of its own. A $500,000 donation Brooks made in 2005 to a hospital near Yukon, Oklahoma, intended to name a women's health center after Colleen Brooks, never resulted in that naming, and Brooks sued for breach of contract in 2009. A Rogers County jury sided with him in 2012, ordering the hospital to return the original gift and pay an additional $500,000 in punitive damages, a small, strange victory built entirely around keeping his mother's name alive. In April of 2025, Brooks lost another key figure in his life, songwriter Larry Bastian, who co-wrote Unanswered Prayers and Rodeo, and who Brooks has called a mentor since his earliest, most uncertain days in Nashville. Love found him again in an unlikely place. Brooks first met singer Trisha Yearwood in 1987, inside a Nashville songwriter's attic, when both were still married to other people and recorded a demo together simply as friends. Years and 2 divorces later, that friendship turned into something else, culminating in an on-stage proposal at the Crystal Palace in Bakersfield, California, in front of an unsuspecting crowd. They married on December 10, 2005. Their relationship weathered its own frightening moment in February of 2021, when Yearwood contracted a severe case of COVID-19 during a household quarantine. Brooks has spoken publicly about how frightened he was of losing her, describing his reliance on prayer rather than superstition to get through those weeks, and the couple has since said that stretch of forced closeness, as terrifying as it was, ultimately strengthened their marriage. Brooks's career has never been free of controversy either. In 1999, he attempted to reinvent himself as a fictional rock musician named Chris Gaines, complete with a soul patch and a slimmed-down look, meant to launch a film project that was ultimately never released. The accompanying album sold a modest 2 million copies against albums that had each sold 10 times as much, and today the entire Chris Gaines chapter is largely absent from his official retrospectives. A far bigger public relations crisis came in 2014, when 5 sold-out shows at Croke Park Stadium in Dublin were reduced to just 3 by city officials, prompting Brooks to cancel all 5 rather than perform a partial run, disappointing 400,000 ticket holders and infuriating the local economy. 8 years later, in September of 2022, Dublin finally approved all 5 nights, and Brooks reportedly took 5 separate breaks to cry during his first show back, giving priority tickets to fans who had held onto their unused passes from 2014. Then came September of 2024, and a controversy unlike anything in his career. An anonymous lawsuit was filed in Mississippi under the pseudonym John Doe, later confirmed by Brooks's team to be him, seeking to preempt allegations from a woman identified in court papers as Jane Roe, who had worked as a hairstylist and makeup artist for both Brooks and Yearwood since 1999. Days later, in early October, Roe filed her own lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court, alleging that Brooks sexually assaulted her on multiple occasions, including during a 2019 trip connected to a Grammy tribute event. Brooks has denied every allegation, telling CNN in a statement that he had been hassled to no end with threats, lies, and tragic tales, and insisting that hush money is still hush money regardless of the amount demanded. His decision to name Roe publicly in an amended filing drew sharp criticism from legal observers and prompted her attorneys to seek sanctions, arguing the move amounted to retaliation. A federal judge denied Brooks's motion to dismiss in December of 2024 and paused the California case pending resolution of the Mississippi lawsuit, and as of the middle of 2026, the matter remains unresolved, tangled in jurisdictional disputes between the 2 states, with no trial date set and no settlement announced. It is important to note that this remains a civil matter, not a criminal case, and Brooks has maintained his innocence at every stage. Remarkably, his career has continued to move forward almost in parallel with the legal proceedings. In March of 2026, the Recording Industry Association of America confirmed his 10th Diamond Certified album, a milestone no other recording artist has reached, and Brooks headlined sold-out stadium shows in Milwaukee before returning to Hyde Park in London in June, his first UK performance in nearly 3 decades. He spends part of his time at Friends in Low Places, his Nashville entertainment venue complete with a rooftop bar called the Oasis, greeting fans and supporting local musicians away from both the tour bus and the courtroom, a rare pocket of ordinary life for a man whose every public appearance now draws both adoration and scrutiny.